I don't have a problem with this. So this is CPU priority is highest. And then if I wanted to, I bet you, it's fluctuating a bit, but I bet you right now I could bring this down one priority tick, get back at least 144 FPS at all times, and then the stream quality wouldn't suffer. Looks like we're sitting much closer to that 130, 140 range. It's moving so fast, it's really hard to tell. But our CPU is staying in the green. Our FPS is staying it's super consistent if you look at that green line. And our stream, even though we're pegging 100 FPS or 100% on our CPU, look at the live stream though. Look how smooth it is. And you know what's funny? I really can't tell much of a fidelity change with 720 and 1080. Yeah, so two things to take away from this with Doom Eternal. The CPU itself, perfectly capable of rendering a 720p 60 FPS live stream while gaming at 1080p and staying at about the 144 FPS of our monitor with a 2060 Super. So there is that. But what about a title that is way more demanding? Something like, say, Battlefield 5. All right, so Battlefield 5, we put all our settings back. We put our CPU priority back to normal. We put it back to 1080p 60 FPS. This title is extremely, extremely demanding. And so I'm expecting this to probably, I'm not expecting it to be good, if I know the truth. I'm making sure what our settings are. So we're DX12 enabled, DXR is off. There's no way in hell you're gonna be doing any good DXR gameplay, even if you weren't streaming with a 2060 Super. Frame rate limiter, I'll do 120. All of our settings are on Ultra. The reason why I'm setting those to Ultra, still trying to offload as much as I can to the GPU, not the CPU. The lower you make this, the more work you make for the CPU because you are rendering more frames. And if it already can't keep up, throwing more frames at it is only gonna cause more latency and more stutters and more problems. More stutters, more problems. All right, one thing to keep in mind with Battlefield 5 is this is a very demanding game. I mean, look, in the menu, I'm at 106, and look at the CPU usage, and I'm not even streaming yet. So watch what happens when I hit start stream. And remember, we are on software right now. Look at that usage on the CPU. And once I come down into the game, oh man. Look at the stream. I don't know, it's probably being smoothed out on the video.
Oh no, it's terrible on the camera too, which means it's really bad.
Yeah,
this is
it's like a slideshow. So as you can see, we're not even getting 60 FPS. Our CPU is just completely hammered. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go ahead and go into our stream. We're gonna stop, and we're gonna switch it back to NVENC, or I keep calling it NVENC, however they pronounce it. And we are going to hopefully see an improvement. Now you'll see the CPU usage came down. It's still really high, but it's no longer pegged. And that's the first thing we need. But if you look at the live stream now, it still has some stutters to it. And the reason for that, again, is the more the FPS fluctuates, the more that's gonna look stuttery to the live stream. Because the live stream really does need a consistent frame rate because it's encoding constant bit rate. So we really do need it to be as smooth as possible. Now, one way that we can do that is by coming into video and then turning on our frame rate limiter. So if we come in here to advanced, we can go frame rate limiter and go down to 60. And by doing that, you can see our CPU usage came down even more, and our FPS is more locked to 60, and our live stream just got even smoother. Let's see if I can't engage in something here, like a firefight or something. Oh, we were like, shooting each other. Yeah, both of us were like flailing around. Oh, I'm running towards the bad guys. I thought I got hit from behind. That's why I kept going that way. Like something bit me, like in the butt. Check this out. We're gonna do 1440p, 60 FPS. I want to see how the stream handles it now. So getting the sizing right is when you're game mode or exclusive full screen with Battlefield 5 is really dumb in that it rescales it. So watch the stream over here. Watch. Beep. There we go.
Oh, it's still not.
Whatever. We can still see the performance, right? Yeah. Look at the GPU usage now. GPU usage is at 70%. Our CPU is in the 60s and 70s on our utilization, and our gameplay, we're actually playing at 1440. I thought that was an enemy tank for a second, which is funny that I pointed my small arms fire at it. He got hit by my explosive and a tank.
That guy's literally a traitor now. He's not even a person anymore.
There was no body. Ooh,
It might be a closed casket.
Anyway, so if this sort of shows you anything, it's that we do not need to have high-end hardware to start entertaining people. If you guys want to live stream and you've got hardware that's $120 CPU, I mean, this is not a cheap GPU, but as it's not the super high-end anyway, you can see we're not utilizing our full GPU when we start limiting things to like 60 FPS and whatnot. So even going with like a 1660 Ti, you'd probably get very comparable results to what we're seeing right now, and it still uses the same encoder. Now, one of the reasons why I say you don't want to build a standalone streaming machine is because any of the money that you've taken to build a second computer, especially I've seen people say, I'm gonna build 2 new computers right now, a gaming machine and a streaming machine. And if you're gonna take the money and build a second computer, you're gonna get much better results by taking that money and adding it to the budget for your gaming computer and get better parts as a whole. Then you're not dealing with any of the latency that can come from capture cards, you're not dealing with the setup issues. The only downside that I can actually see is if for some reason your machine crashes, which if you're not doing crazy overclocks and stuff, it really shouldn't, is your stream won't go down